Hello everyone. I know I mentioned I'd try to do some training videos this week, so let's start off with kind of the basics of what I look at. You see, this is my chart that I look at throughout the day. I have the 9 and 21 EMAs up. I have a cloud for that just so it's easier to glance at and see it. I have the strat candles, the numbered candle system, and up here I have full time frame continuity. I can look at a glance and see, okay, this one's inside on the week. It's a 2 down on the day. It's a 2 down on the 4 hour. It's a 2 up on the hourly. It's a inside on the 30, inside on the 15, and it's a 2 down on the 5. Just kind of gives me a quick glance to see where this thing stands without having 8 different charts up here on my screen. I used to do that. I used to have a bunch of little charts up here, and it got distracting because I'd look at the one, then I'd look at the other, and I'd look at the other. And by the time I got done looking at them, it was kind of like the trade was I either missed the entry or whatever. With this, I don't necessarily, these don't necessarily all have to be green or all have to be red for me to enter. But I know if I glance up and I see green all the way up to here probably, that I'm okay. Now the 5 can be red because the 5 just opened. If everything else is green and the 5's red, I'm not real worried about it. I'll look for an entry on the 5 minute and I'll get in. So I have that up here. This here's kind of the same thing. Kind of does the same thing. I probably could do without this, but I think they're part of the same script. But anyway, I have pivot points here. These pivot points are just previous pivot highs, pivot lows. And I'm also using the orbs, the 15-minute or 5-minute orbs right here. This is the 5-minute candle, opening candle. Actually, I have it set for 15. So it marks the highs and lows of the first 15-minute candle. So you see this is a 5-minute chart, but this candle, this candle, and this candle make up 15 minutes. So that's the low, this is the high. And what I look for there is a breakout of it. On Microsoft, let's see if we ever did. We got a breakout right here. We finally broke out of it here. I mean, we kind of tested it a few times. We broke it right here, but it bounced right back up. In this, I'm not going to say how I trade the orb because I'm still new at the orb. The only reason I tried to start learning it was because with my job and my meetings, I try to get my trading in the first, I don't know, first half hour of the day. So I'm looking at the 5 and 15-minute orbs. This here would have stopped me out because I put my stop about the midpoint of the first, the 5-minute candle. This is actually the midpoint here, this dash line, this gray dash line. So I would have got stopped out on this one, but then this one here would have worked out. And as of right now, what I'm looking for a target is roughly the size of the first 15-minute candle, which was 334.70 down to 331.70, so about a $3 move. So we're looking for a $3 move here, which will be 328.70. Haven't quite hit that. Don't know if we will. I'm already out of the trade. I did get in it and trade it. I kind of got bounced around quite a bit. I had stops. I think I actually got in on this bar here, and I set my stops just above the midway point, but they never triggered. Luckily, they never triggered. I had them set for about here, but you know how it goes with options. You might have a stop set, and it'll show up on here, but never actually trigger at that price. So it won't trigger you out then. I ended up taking profit, I don't know, down about here. I sold some contracts about here and then the rest right about here. But I'm out of it. That's the only trade I made today. So just been too busy today to even look at charts. Actually, what I did was I set an OCO order when I got in. I had my stop here and my target here, and I just let it ride. Didn't even look at it for most of the day. So anyway, I have all that up on my screen, and obviously my volume, and I have my time and sales. And that's all I have up there. Oh, I have VWAP also. I don't really use the VWAP too much, but I still have it on there just in case I ever decide to try to use it. But I really don't look at it much. So anyway, that's what I have here. Um, as far as the candles, um, for those of you that know the strat or familiar with the strat, you can skip past this part. Um, Rob Smith, who created the strat, you can find him on Twitter at Rob in the Black, and on YouTube I think it's Smith in the Black. Um, just go to Twitter, search for hashtag the strat, and you'll see all kinds of resources. Um, if any of you have followed Steve Nissen or learned from Steve Nissen, I went through his boot camp. It's very similar to what Steve Nissen has talked about, but Rob makes it a lot easier and a lot easier to visualize. So there's only 3 types of candles there can be. You can have an inside candle right here, completely inside of the previous candle. You can have an outside candle right here, completely engulfs the previous candle. Everything else is a 2. The inside candle is a 1, the outside candle is a 3, everything else is a 2. Can't be anything else. This here, this is a good example here. This is a 2, even though it's red, because it went up, it broke the high of the previous candle. Even though it's red, it's still a 2. This one here, similar candle, it's a 2 also. It's a 2 up, this a 2 up, this a 2 up. It's green. Same here, it's 2 up, but it's red. This is a 2 down, even though it's green, it's a 2 down because it broke the previous candle's low. So there's 3 parts to the strat. That's the first part in a nutshell. I'm not really going to go over the other 2 parts probably today because of time issues. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what the strat is based off of. So setups I like to look for is inside candles. If you look for an inside candle, your entry is a break above that or below that inside candle, and your target is the high of the previous candle, which would be here. Now, if you have full time frame continuity, which this up here would show me, if you have full time frame continuity in the direction you're going, there's a good chance it's going to continue on. Ultimately, your target would be this, but I don't think we had full time frame continuity, so probably not going to get to it. The inside candles, that's what I scan for every week. There's also what's called a rev strat. It's a 1-2-2 setup. Let me find one of those for you. I know you stratters out there are probably saying, there's one right there. Okay, here's one here. 1-2-2. A rev strat is a 1 followed by a 2 in one direction, followed by a 2 in the opposite direction. Usually indicates a reversal. Here's one right here. On this, your primary target is right here. Your ultimate target is going to be each continuing high. And the reason is because people have their stops. The people that got in on this candle have their stops here. They might have their stops there. People that got in on this candle might have their stops here. People at this candle, these stops are here. What happens is those stops are going to trigger a buying condition. When you're shorting, your stop is going to trigger a buy. So you have automated stops here buying, automated stops here buying, automated stops here buying, which continue to help drive this price up. In addition to that, you have natural buyers coming in, because once you break this candle, buyers are going to come in. Once you break this one, buyers are going to come in. Now there's key points where more buyers will come in, and that might be at a pivot. Let's say right here, you have a pivot high, more buyers will come in than there would be at, say, this high here. but you get the point. So when I scan, I look for inside candles on the week. Now I'm going to get goofy results here because it's the middle of the week and the candle's already partially formed. But I can edit this to, you see here, this actually gives you the inside candle that is less than half the size of the previous candle. I usually get that out, get rid of that. And since the week's already started, I'm going to change this to look for the previous week. And all this into these ones and twos, all these indicate or which bar. So right now this will look at the current bar is greater than one bar ago. So if I do this, and I'm not an expert at this coding, but I know enough. This will look at the previous bar to see if it's lower than the bar behind it. So this will actually go back and find inside bars from last week. So let's do that. Hit scan, and this will bring up setups that was on my list from last week, or on my video I just did Sunday. So let's take a look at Apple. Here's Apple. Let's take a look at the week. There's the week on Apple. We had an inside week. We're still inside on the week, threatening to break the downside. So you see I have alerts set. I actually had a buy order set at a First Triggers OCO set for a break above this. It hasn't triggered. I'm probably going to cancel it before the end of the day, just because it's getting late enough in the week that even if this does bounce tomorrow, I probably don't want in it, at least under those conditions. My circumstances will change, so I may not like this setup, this order. And granted, I could drag it, you know, if you guys know Active Trader, you can drag your stops and targets up and down. So we'll take a look here. Inside week. So I find let's do one that I did not alert or put in my video. Let's do Gilead, I guess. I haven't traded that for a long time, so I know I don't have anything set up on it. Okay, here's inside week. What I do is I come down, have my price level set here, and I mark it. And now if you don't know how to do this, if you come up here, right here, snap drawings to OHLC, that's your magnet. I know some platforms call this a magnet. Thinkorswim calls it snapping. Set that by default, it's set to none. If you set it to OHLC, that's open, high, low, close, it'll automatically snap. If you look, I click once and it puts it there. Now it'll stay there until I get too far away from it or get to the next like if I go over here, it's going to stick to this one. So I come here, I can move it, I can be off of it just a little bit, and there's my, there it is there. So I'll put inside week up, and then I'll copy and paste, or I'll copy it, Control C. I set this bar to white. You can set it to whatever you want. I set it to white, and I put my alert here at 6756. Create alert 6756. Make sure it says at or above, and then I just paste that in there, inside week up. That way when it alerts, I know why it's alerting and I know what to look for. I know what time frame to look for, and I'm not sitting there trying to figure it out. Now you can, if you're more aggressive, you can say, okay, my first target's right here. What is this? 68.39. I'm a little bit more conservative, so I'm going to come down. I like to move down one time frame, so I come down to the daily time frame. This is my trigger. Now remember, none of this happened, so forget you're even seeing this. My first target would be here. It's only 15-cent move, 12 cents, whatever it is, but this gives me an area. I'm not going to take profit here, but it gives me an area for a stop. So I'd do this, and I mark it T1, and then oops, T1, and then I paste again, inside week up. Now these I leave green because they're my targets. Then I come up to here. This is going to be target 2. T2, Control V, T3, T3, Control V, and then T4. This one here is so close to this one, I'm going to skip this one and go straight to this one. And I usually sell before it hits that target. T4, Control V. Now, if I'm setting my orders, I'm going to set my target for about here. I mean, I'm going to move my stops up as I go. But if I'm looking to sell right here at this target, I'm going to sell a little bit before it. There's too many times I've seen it come to within pennies of a target and reverse. I don't want to get caught in that. When you're trading options, it's best to sell on the way up. Just because when it starts to reverse, depending on which one it is and how liquid they are, when it starts to reverse, the spreads can get really out of whack. You can go from a 10-cent spread to a 30-cent spread just because the price just happened to drop a few cents. That's a $30 loss. That could be, for some traders, it could be 50% of your gain you just gave up. So I try to sell on the way up. So I set my target for just a little bit before what my actual target would be. And that's all I do. I should back up. Before I decide whether or not I want this on my list, I'll come out here to the year. And you see this in my videos. Okay, we're inside on the year. We're kind of in the middle of the no man's land right here as far as the cloud. And this, don't confuse this with Ichimoku cloud. I have traded Ichimoku cloud before. That's not what this is. This is the 9 and 21 cloud. I just shade it so it's easier for me to visualize real quick at a real quick glance. This isn't a very favorable setup per se. We had a shooter here. I know it's the bottom of a trend, but I'm still going to call it a shooter. We have a shooter here, followed by an inside candle that is kind of bouncing. And then I come down, I look at the year. Let's just pretend this is a good bullish setup. Let's just pretend that this is a nice bullish setup on the year. I look at the quarter, and I say, okay, let's just pretend the quarter looks real good. This one doesn't, but let's just pretend it does look real good. I look at the month. Okay, I pretend the month looks real good also. I look at the week. Week looks pretty good. And then sometimes I'll come down to the day just to see what it just did like the day before. I look at the day. Day looks good. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. This would be a good setup. I'm not saying it is a good setup because I was pretending that they were good setups or good charts when I went over the other time frames. But I check all the higher time frames. I start with the year and work my way down until I get down to the week, and then I'll look at the daily also just to see what it did the previous day. So pretend that all of my higher time frames all look good. I'm gonna put this on my list and say, yeah, I'm gonna jump in this when it jumps over, breaks over the previous high. So that's what I look for. Now, as far as your stops, that's going to be up to you how you want to do it. For this one, let's just pretend that these candles here do not exist. Because this was the 4th, 5th, 8th. Okay, this was Friday. So these 3 candles don't exist. I'm looking for a break above this. We open here. I'm probably going to set my stop. Actually, we opened here. I'm probably going to set my stop once it breaks this, which it just did today. I'm probably going to set my stop. The worst case is going to be when this candle goes red. That's going to be a pretty aggressive stop. Now, you could be even more aggressive and put a stop here to pivot low. To me, that's too far away. Or even down here. To me, that's too far away. If you're trading weekly options, you're looking at 75% loss or so potentially. I may even look closer to about here, close to the mid-range of this candle. It would actually be a little bit higher than mid-range because you would have got in at about this level here. But my stop would have been, if you want to be pretty conservative, you could set your stop here because you have these 2 points. You also, if you go way over here, you have this candle. I don't usually like to go back this far because this has been broken all through here. And to me, this really doesn't matter. But when I'm looking at a stop, I just kind of look to the left a little bit and say, yeah, there's a couple other points where it held there too, just to kind of confirm what I'm looking at. If you wanted to be conservative, you could set your stop here. I'd go just a little bit lower, so maybe about here. You could also set your stop for a break below the 9 EM or this is actually the SMA. Break below the 9 SMA. That could be set up as a stop. You could set it for the midpoint of this candle that you entered on, which I don't really like because the candle you're on is still dynamic. It's still working. So you're kind of setting a stop on a moving target. If you want to do midpoint of a candle, it'd probably be this one would be better. And you have the high of the previous candle here to kind of go along with that roughly. Just eyeball it. It doesn't have to be exact. I had something in my throat here. So that's kind of how I'd look at it for stops. I don't want to tell you that this is the right or wrong way to do stops because let me grab a drink here. I don't want to say that one way is right, one way is wrong because there's different styles, different traders, different account sizes, different risk tolerance. Those are just ideas. I'd probably be looking at setting it here, probably right about here, just below the top of these 2 candles, which is just below the 9 EMA or SMA. So that's what I look for. That's pretty much it when I run my scans. I do my scans. Like I said, this would actually be a scan from the previous weeks, and I can paste this in to the description. I don't have a problem sharing any of this with you guys. So let me fix this and copy it. Whoops. And that's it. That's it for my video, for the first video of the week. I don't know if I'll do another one or not. I don't really know if I'd do another one. This pretty much shows everything I look for. I did mention the Rev Strat, the 1-2-2 reversals. But mainly what I look for is inside candles. So, all right, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. Maybe it'll lead to another video or whatever. So, thanks for watching. And when you see me post on Twitter or on YouTube, you'll know exactly how I found what I found and how I found my targets and my entries and all that. So, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.